Hello guys, this is me in current time. I am actually going through and editing this video right now to get uploaded for you guys, but I realized I didn't make an intro. So this was requested. I asked my IG followers what they wanted to see. So here is a full restaurant style menu for Valentine's Day or any specific date night at home to save you some money. It's gonna be a steak, it's gonna be a couple of different sides, and I'm also gonna be including a cheesecake dessert at the end. So if you guys wanna see this video, then just keep on watching. All right, so first we're gonna start with the scalloped potatoes. I have everything in like sections so that I could keep it like really organized, and this is pretty much what you're gonna need: some paprika, salt and pepper, potatoes. You're gonna need about 2 to 4 pounds depending on how much you're going to be making. I'm putting mine in a small dish. You're gonna need some cooking spray, either mild or sharp cheddar, milk, and flour. So these are russet potatoes. You could also use Yukon Gold. It really just depends on what you prefer. So the 3 to 4 tablespoons of butter is melting in this saucepan back here. Once the butter is completely melted, you are going to stir in 3 tablespoons of flour. So you want to make sure that the butter is completely melted so that it makes kind of like a smooth paste. Ultimately, we're making a roux, which is just like a sauce that you make with milk and butter and flour. You can do it with Alfredo. There's a bunch of different things that you can make roux for, but I am letting that kind of melt down. We're making some progress here. And then I'm going to add in my 3 tablespoons of flour. While that is cooking, I am going to cut my potatoes into thin slices. You could buy scallops already cut, but you want to make these as thin as possible for your actual dish. So we are going to cut these potatoes while we wait on that to melt. And you want them to be very thin. So that is why I cut the ends off of the potatoes. You don't want them to be super thick. And I'm actually just going to use 2 potatoes because this seems like enough for us. And this is pretty much what it's going to look like. I'm going to go ahead and cut these up as well and keep them in some cold water. And I will make these up for breakfast tomorrow. The butter is melted. I'm going to add in 3 tablespoons of flour. We are going to whisk that into the butter. And once everything is coated, that is when you're going to add in 1.5 cups of milk, salt, and cayenne or paprika. I'm next going to add in a good amount of salt and a little bit of paprika. And the paprika is really just going to give it some color. You're going to want to let this sit on low to medium heat until it comes to a subtle boil, and then you're going to add 1.5 cups of cheese of your choice. You are also going to reduce the heat to low, but you want to make sure that you bring this mixture to a boil. So I added in a cup first because you want to make sure that the lumps from the butter and the flour are gone completely before you go on to the next step. After you add in the cheese, this is what the consistency of your sauce will be like. And like I said, with like Alfredo sauce, for me, I like thicker the better, and this is just going to be so good in potatoes. You want them to be creamy, you want them to be cheesy, and You're just gonna let that cook through. Like I said, I took the heat down to low, and I think now that everything is whisked together, we are going to take this off the heat. I have half of the potatoes in the bottom of the baking dish, and I'm going to take half of the cheese mixture and pour that over the potatoes. Then I'm going to repeat the steps. Pour the rest of the cheese sauce on top of the potatoes. Then you're going to add salt over everything. And some more cheddar cheese on top. You can use cheese of your choice. People say that sharp cheddar gives it a bolder flavor, but I honestly prefer mild over anything, so we're gonna add that, and then we're gonna do a sprinkle of paprika for some flavor and some color. So we're gonna bake these at 350 degrees for 1 hour or until potatoes are fork tender. So the next side dish is really simple. I got these fresh green beans, I've rinsed them, and I cut the ends off so that they look more like green beans. And you're going to need a pan, olive oil, some butter, parsley, Parmesan cheese or any type of Italian cheese of your choice, garlic. It could also be mixed garlic, but since I'm using it for the steak, I thought I would go in with garlic salt, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and some foil for your pan. This is truly the easiest, but they are still going to be very delicious. I went back and forth on whether or not I wanted to make these in the air fryer. And I decided to just make them on a pan in the oven traditionally. So this is enough for 2 people. You can definitely make more if you need to, but this is definitely going to be enough. So, all right, so I'm going to pat the green beans dry. Now, this will give them a little bit more of a crunch, and it'll keep the flavor in. So I am going to drizzle with some olive oil. You could definitely like measure this out. You're going to add salt, pepper, and there's correct measurements, but anybody that knows me knows that I don't measure anything, and it always comes out great. So I'm sprinkling these with a little bit of parsley, and then you're gonna go in with a little bit of garlic. I don't want them to be overpowered with garlic. And then last but not least, I'm using Parmesan cheese. Fresh would be better. But simple, easy green beans, garlic, Parmesan green beans. You're gonna put these in the oven for 20 to 25 minutes at 425 degrees. All right, so the next thing I'm working on are the chocolate covered strawberry mini cheesecakes. So I'm gonna be taking a bowl. I have some butter melted, just 4 tablespoons, that I'm going to pour into this bowl. 1 cup of graham cracker crumbs, 1/4 cup sugar, and just a pinch of salt. I'm going to mix that all up. And remember, it will be like a crust consistency. And I have muffin cups here. I'm only choosing to make 6, but you're going to drop tablespoons of crust at the bottom of each muffin. You just want to make sure that the bottoms are completely flat before you add in the wet ingredients. Then you're going to pop these into the oven at 375 degrees and pre-bake them for 8 minutes. And then you are going to remove them from the oven and reduce the temperature of the oven. Then you're going to reduce the temperature down to 350 after these have been pre-baked. Next, I'm going to be taking a large bowl, and this is where we are going to combine the wet ingredients. So we are going to beat together cream cheese, the sugar, more salt, and vanilla extract until it is a creamy, cheesecakey kind of consistency. And we are also going to beat in the egg yolks that we're going to be using, and I think we're using 2 yolks. So I'm going to combine all of those ingredients into the bowl now. So we are taking 16 ounces of the room temperature cream cheese. In this bowl I have 2 blocks of cream cheese. I'm going to do half a teaspoon of salt, which I already poured in there, and then I'm going to do a half teaspoon of sugar. It says just a dash, so you don't want a ton in there. And then I'm also going to do a little bit of vanilla extract. Then I'm going to add in the 2 egg yolks. I separated them. I did 2 eggs. I do have the whites for something else that I'm going to be using these for. And then I just have 2 of the yolks that I separated. So scratch that. This is telling me 3/4 cup. So that's what I'm going to pour in there for the filling. And we're going to beat this until it is creamy yet smooth, and then we are going to add in the yolks. This is the consistency that you are looking for when you have cheesecake. Not too runny, not too thick. You definitely want it to pack in, but yeah, so as you can see, human error, I spilled almost a whole egg yolk, so let me clean that up. Alright, in a small bowl, I'm going to whisk these egg whites until they are frothy and doubled in size. So I'm just going to hand mix these with a whisk. See how they're starting to get kind of bubbly? Alright, so the next portion of the video is me making the steak. Here's what you're gonna need. I ended up not making the shrimp just because I felt like it was too much food, but these are pretty much all the ingredients that you're going to need to season the steaks properly on the stove before you actually go in and cook them. So for the garlic butter, it's just simple. You add in like parsley or thyme with butter and some garlic. My minced garlic ended up actually being not good, so I'm gonna brush that mixture onto the steak. And this just gives it that nice garlic butter sear to it. I'm also going to mix some into the oil on the pan. I don't know if you guys can see because of the lighting, but yum. I decided to do the cheesecakes the next day, so I just took some melting wafers from ALDI's and I microwaved them for about 1.5 minutes until they were completely melted. I did end up using the dark chocolate. At first, I tried to make them all pretty like the picture and kind of create like a hard shell topping, but that really didn't work out for me because I was using a spoon, and I don't think it would have worked in a little piping bag either, so I eventually just like smeared the chocolate all over the top just to cover the tops of the cheesecakes, and you guys will see me doing that in this next couple of clips. It was just a lot easier and we were the only ones eating them, so I tried to make a couple of them pretty, but for the most part this is what I came up with, and they were actually really, really delicious.